We're back to talk more about the Iran deal. We want to welcome CBS News Foreign Affairs correspondent Margaret Brennan back to the U.S. after weeks and weeks of being in Vienna with Secretary Kerry. We're also joined by Washington Post columnist David Ignatius and Jeffrey Goldberg of The Atlantic. David, I want to start with you. There's a lot to grab onto this deal, but what for you stands out in this agreement?
Listening to Secretary Kerry and to Prime Minister Netanyahu, my takeaway is that the details of this deal are pretty solid, that it's been carefully negotiated, that it will hold up for 10 years or more. But that Prime Minister Netanyahu is right that Iran is a dangerous, destabilizing force in the Middle East. So somehow good policy seems to me to use the deal to cap the nuclear threat that Iran would pose for 10 years, but work on that other problem. And I wish I'd heard a little more from Secretary Kerry about how to change Iranian behavior that is so threatening and destabilizing.
Jeffrey, what do you think is the biggest selling point of the deal, the best selling point?
The best selling point is that it's a way, if the Iranians actually don't cheat, it's a way to keep them from developing a nuclear bomb for half a generation or more. The worst part, just to build on what David is saying, is that the issue is what they're going to do with their windfall. And that's the question that we haven't seen answered yet. They could take that money. They're going to get $150 billion potentially out of this. In the first sort of iteration, they could create havoc or more havoc in the Middle East. And so the question going forward is, and so this story is not ending, the question going forward is, how are we going to contain them conventionally? We've capped them on the nuclear standpoint, but we haven't figured out a way to contain what they're doing conventionally.
And that is one of the biggest complaints of the Arab allies, who haven't been as publicly critical as Prime Minister Netanyahu has, but privately really worry that this is going to fund other proxy wars because money's fungible. Zarif, Iran's top negotiator, will say to you, no, we are going to spend this on reconstruction and infrastructure and the like. Right. But, when you talk to the Arab allies, they say, wait a second, the one place we look, Syria, where Iran has extreme influence, we are seeing extreme reluctance from the administration to counter that. And so they're really sort of waiting to see if the administration backs up its promises.
A small intervention, and this is what the Obama administration would say, is that these guys have been pretty good at using their limited terrorism dollars over the past 10 or 15 years to create havoc in the Middle East. So some more money in that pot is not going to substantially change the reality in Syria, Lebanon, and so on.